We speak to Dr Lihle Qulu, a neuroscientist from KwaZulu-Natal University, part of the organizers for the march that took place here today. Brain awareness. Dr Qulu, please tell us about why did you organize this march?
Okay, so Brain Awareness Week is an international week where every institution that works in mental health or even research that is of the mental relationship, everybody at that time comes together and they do different activities that bring awareness to the communities and to the rest of the country about the importance of looking after your brain, the importance of staying away from addiction, the importance of exercise. And also what we did as UKZN Neuroscience is that we visited a school. And in that school, we spoke to the students. We told them about the importance of staying away from stress, how to study. We told them how the brain works when you are going to study. And we also spoke a lot about drug addiction because this country has a burden of drug addiction. And another thing is that mental health is not given as much attention as other disorders are given, but it is actually the third burden in the country that is also burdening the country economically. So this is a small way but powerful way of actually telling the community that it is important to look after your brain. If you have bipolar, if you have depression, early detection is better because it will save your brain, it will save your life. And we have a lot of people who may have bipolar, schizophrenia, depression, and there are stigmas around these mental illnesses. And we also want to actually remove those stigmas and let people know that actually having a mental disorder is not something to be ashamed of. It's something that can be dealt with good healthcare practices from our hospitals, and it can be monitored, it can be managed. We have psychiatrists that were with us. We have SADC, which is the Society for Drug Addiction. I, as a board member of the South African Neuroscience Society, I was also part of this walk. In fact, I was the main organizer. Also part of SONA, which is the Southern African Neuroscience Society. I'm the representative. As a representative of the South African Neuroscience Society, and also as the representative of the Southern Africa Neuroscience Society, I decided to play a major role in organizing the walk. The walk was a success. We started from Suncoast Casino and then we ended just before Eddington Hospital. In total, it was a 5-kilometer walk. And what we did in this walk is that we had placards where we were chanting and having slogans such as early detection saves lives, remove the stigma from mental health, use your brain, brain power. All of these were slogans that we were saying so that people who have these disorders can realize that it is not something to be ashamed of. And one of the things we experienced was there were members of the societies that would join us and chant with us, and some of them would stop us and say, I have mental issues, thank you for doing this. Some of them were taking pictures, but we actually received a lot of a positive response from the community.
Do you feel that mental health is less spoken about? There is less attention to the issues of mental health in our communities, yet it is most impactful. And if so, tell us, how does it actually impact us, our communities, directly on a daily basis?
Okay, I will start with the history of our country. South Africa has suffered colonization, but on top of colonization has suffered the system of apartheid. Now, in the system of apartheid, there was a lot of psychological paralysis. There was a lot of violence. There was a lot of rape. There were different traumatic things that the people, particularly black people, faced. And during that time, when you do such things to the brain, it doesn't get removed immediately. So when we received freedom, in 1994, it didn't mean that there was also a treatment, a psychological intervention that was going to assist the victims of the apartheid system to actually slowly get off of this mental paralysis that happened. Now, what happens after that is that once you've experienced post-traumatic stress, such as the one that this country experienced, there is an aftermath of different mental disorders. Those can include depression, can include schizophrenia, can include bipolar. It can include anxiety. And they don't only end with our parents, because there's something called epigenetics. They can be passed on to the next generation. If they are not attended to, and if the mindset of the apartheid system is not attended to, it continues on a roller coaster where the next generation inherits and the next generation. So it is important that whilst we are busy speaking about radical transformation, taking over the land, affirmative action, we also need to deal with the psychological impairments that the apartheid system may have left in our community. And in the black townships, what you find is that most of the time people will say unomdikeyi bazothi uneconsi, all of those phecelezi bipolar. Iconsi is probably somebody who's got bipolar, but because we don't have education around these issues, nothing is done. And because our doctors as well as our teachers also are not told to speak to us about them, we go around thinking that everything is fine, and then we see these things manifesting themselves with the amount of crime we are getting. It could be a child who was autistic at school, then this child was sidelined, and then this child decided to resort into crime. It could have been trauma that was bereavement from losing a parent that was not processed properly. And then this child ends up going into drug addiction because they are trying to process what they have not been given a platform to process. It could be many things. You lose a child, you lose a parent, you lose a family member. We just don't have a community that pays attention to emotional issues that manifest themselves into mental disorders.
If you had to say, with our economy and also in the parliament, with our members of parliament and what's happening in our political system currently, would you see any trends, or as a doctor looking in the political system, do you see any identifying concerns that relate to the neuro aspect of the human being?
No, I don't. I don't see any of that. I think they're absolutely healthy, but I think what they should probably do is to assist us as a community. We really need assistance from the government to give more awareness to mental health and actually to place more clinics where you can have a psychologist or a counselor, and after they have seen what is the issue, then you can be sent to a psychiatrist in a departmental doctor.
Well, it's wonderful to know that as per neuroscience, head of neuroscience certainly thinks that our members of parliament are very stable and mentally healthy. Thank you very much, Dr. Qulu, for the interview.
Thank you. Thank you very much, CWTV, for giving me this chance to speak on our campaign.
Thank you.
Okay.